Welcome, everybody, to the finals of the Intercollegiate Poker Association. My name is Nick Schuler, and I'm joined here
by Nick Holden.
We are two members of the University of Michigan poker team. Unfortunately, we did not make the finals, but as they say, if you cannot do, commentate. So that's why we're here today, and you're going to have to listen to us for a few hours. But thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We're just going to get into a little bit of introductory information, and then we'll get right into the cards because we know that's what you're here to see. So today, we have quite a large prize pool. There are 4 teams, and first place takes home $6,250. Second place takes down $3,375. Third place, $1,625, and fourth place, $1,250. So quite a nice payday for everybody, but everyone's going to be vying for that first place prize. I would like to thank our sponsors today, Susquehanna and Citadel. They make everything possible, and we would not be here without them. So thank you very much. As well, shout out to Poker Now. That's the platform that the IPA plays on. Very important. As you can see, we have a little custom table overlay there. Very nice. I would also like to thank Alex Wu. He runs the league. Wouldn't be possible without him as well. He puts in a lot of hard work. So thank you, Alex. And finally, I'd like to thank you guys, the viewers. Thank you for tuning in today. And we're just going to go over a little bit more information. I'll toss it over to Holden, and then we'll get right into the cards.
Yeah, so for those of you that aren't familiar with how we got to this point today, over the past 8 months, teams have been playing pretty much monthly, just games of the same format. And how the structure worked was players would compete from each team. The players would compete just sequentially on one table. Each player would be at one table at a time. And we would have you would get awarded points based on your standing in the game. And right now we are down to the final 4 teams, which is going to be Brown. This is actually Brown's second appearance in the IPA final, as well as their second year in the IPA. During the first season of the IPA, Brown got second place, falling short to Boston University. We also have Cambridge, which is this is Cambridge's first year in the IPA, as well as their first IPA final. Then we have MIT returning again to the league. This is actually their first IPA final after competing last year. MIT is currently the point leader from the regular season. And then we have Yale, which also played in the IPA last year, and they are going to be playing in their first IPA final this year.
Thank you very much, Nick, for letting us get to know the teams. And actually, Dr. Nathan Josephs of Boston University made some odds for this tournament. So that's kind of cool, and we'll go over those real quick. MIT is plus 171. They're the favorite. That equates to a 36.9% chance of taking down first. Next is Yale, plus 184, equating to a 35.2% chance. So those two are right neck and neck. And then we have Brown at plus 400, meaning a 20% right on the dot chance of taking it down. So a little bit of a gap, about 15 percentage points there. And then we have Cambridge at plus 1,166, meaning a 7.9% chance of winning. But I'll tell you, these Cambridge guys, they're fighters. They bring that British spirit, which they apparently didn't bring in 1776. That's okay, though. And, I've seen them do great things. So we'll see if they can defy expectations today and take it down. But let's get right in to the No Limit Texas Hold'em, also known as the Cadillac of poker. All right, Nick, what are we looking at here?
We're looking at moving to a new hand right now, but I figure before I mention go any further in this, just so everyone keeps this in mind, there are going to be 5 tables going on at the same time. We're going to have one player from each team at each table, and we'll be swapping through the tables just as we go throughout the tournament.
All right, absolutely. So this table, we're going to a flop, and we see William hits top pair. Kevin just sitting there with queen high, but let's see if Kevin will put in the flop bluff. He does not.
Yeah, it looks like William's just gonna probably take it down here. I can't see Kevin continuing.
All right, so that's William Pang from Yale, I believe, unless there's another William. No, I think I'm correct here. And Kevin is Kevin Jiang from MIT. We have Paul from Cambridge, Paul Heller, and from Brown, we have Andrew Reed. So let's get into it.
Ace five in the cutoff here from Paul. Be interesting to see if he decides to open it. I know he's a pretty aggressive player, but it looks like he's going to play it safe in the final.
William here on the button, going to open up his 8-7. You know, might seem a little loose, but four-handed, I think that's totally fine. As there are fewer players on the table, you really need to kind of open up your range and raise pretty wide.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's pretty important to kind of keep the pressure on other players, especially with this kind of different format as the players are used to. Previously this we'd been playing either 6 or 7 players to a table, so it's kind of interesting to see how everyone's going to adjust to a deeper structure with less players per table.
Absolutely. And we see Kevin here open up the ace-5 of spades. Paul makes the flat call on the button with king queen. Paul does hit top pair, and it looks like Kevin's going to check and try to get to a cheap river here with his ace-high showdown value. Unfortunately for him, though, there's Paul standing in his way with top pair, second best kicker. Certainly expect Paul to put out a bet here, which he does. And Kevin calls with his ace-high.
Yeah, Kevin with the interesting call here. He could be trying to see what equity he picks up on the turn, possible backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. Not the worst call I've ever seen. Be interesting to see how he plays the rest of the hand.
And Paul is just going to keep barreling here, and Kevin does put in the fold. Paul takes down a 392 chip pot. Kevin here on the button, ace jack, certainly a great hand, especially forehand. That can definitely withstand some 3-bets, but it's not looking like we're going to get anything. Paul here folds the 4-3 off. William 9-6 off suit, and he does make a call a little bit loose. Talk about that, Nick.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit loose coming from a defend in the big blind. He's going to be out of position in this hand, and he's not really going to flop too strong very often. And just to say that, he turns a straight, so we'll see what happens here.
Unfortunately, though, for William, Kevin's got ace-high, so I doubt he's going to be able to get 2 streets of value, maybe just 1. Although he does bet small.
Yeah, with such a small bet, I still am not sure if I'd continue if I was Kevin. In this situation, the big blind has a lot of low cards, a lot of like speculative hands, like low suited cards that he would call with, so I would expect to be behind most of the time.
Kevin makes the fold on the river. William takes down a pot just shy or just north of 300 chips. We got 2 hands in the small blind and the big blind, but Kevin does open king 6 suited in the cutoff. I don't think Andrew's going anywhere with his snowmen. Let's see what he does.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see a 3-bet from Andrew here, just kind of put the pressure onto Kevin. Kevin's been pretty active throughout the last few hands we've been seeing here. And he does put in the 3-bet. Let's see what Kevin ends up doing here in this position.
Kevin makes the fold. And, you know, with 8s, you're not too disappointed to take it down pre-flop there with the 3-bet because, you know, most of the time you're going to get some overcards on the flop, and then it's going to be tough to know where you're at. So sometimes taking it down pre-flop when you 3-bet is almost the best case scenario here. Kevin in the big blind, king 6, who is dominated by William, but no need. Kevin folds. William takes down a pot.
So we have a bunch of pretty weak hands here. I expect Andrew to probably open to something like 90 chips and probably end up taking it down pre-flop.
Now, Holden, talk about opening sizes here. What do you look for? What do you think is optimal? What are the benefits of a bigger or a smaller opening size?
So I think in the early stages of the tournament, when you have such a big chip stack relative to the blinds, you need to open with a little bit of a wider range and a higher bet size. So normally I'd end up opening like 2.5, 3 times the big blind in such early stages of the tournament, try to thin out the field a little bit. If you go too low in the early stages, people
is not.
Sorry, you cut out there. Can you repeat that?
Apologies there, Nick. Keep going.
Yeah, so basically the logic behind opening a little bigger earlier in the tournament is to just kind of represent more of a threat with the chips that you're betting. If you did something like a min bet, your opponents have the implied odds to call you with more speculative ranges because they have potentially more chips to win from you if you both hit pretty big hands rather than just the value of picking up the blinds. It's not as important to pick up just the blinds so early in the tournament because they represent so little of your stack.
Sorry, apologies there if you heard some audio. I'm opening up the stream here so I can see the chat. Feel free, guys, to if you're in the chat, drop us some comments. Tell us where you're from. Tell us if you know the players. We'd love to hear from you guys. Now there should be no more echoing on my end. Apologies for that. Now we do have Kevin here, bottom pair, choosing to bet it, making a smaller bet. And William here has got the flush draw, so he's not going anywhere. And he does put in the raise. Let's see if Kevin will get sticky here and make his call with the pair of fours with a jack high kicker.
Yeah, I actually don't mind the call too much on the flop here. A lot of hands would continue given the action to play just as Williams has, and Kevin actually has a decent amount of showdown value. And I would expect him to take another shot at the pot here with the flush missing. And the flush does connect, and oh, this is going to be kind of dangerous for Kevin.
Absolutely. We see Kevin here has a pair of jacks and a pair of sixes. Let's see if he'll make the call and get paid off. And I do want to say, guys, there is a delay on the stream. So the players can't just open up the Twitch stream and see their opponent's hands. So don't worry about that. Kevin here's got a tough decision to make. He does not hold a spade, making it more likely that his opponent has a flush, and he makes the good fold. Good fold by Kevin, probably lost the minimum on that hand. And Andrew gets a free walk here.
We have Paul in the cutoff with ace-8 suited. I expect him to open here. It's a pretty strong hand, especially four-handed. I think it'd be pretty tight to let it go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Looks like Paul actually timed out there, so he might be having some connection issues.
He could be distracted by radically others. Shout out in the chat. I know I certainly would be. But we do see William here on the button opening up King 7 of spades. Certainly should be within his opening range, and he does decide to do that. Let's see if Kevin will make the call out of the big blind.
So how would you approach this tournament with these just like stack sizes and the blind structure this early? Would you end up playing a little looser or more aggressive to try to build up a bigger stack earlier?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, look, the age-old adage is you can't win a tournament in the beginning, but you can certainly lose one. So I definitely wouldn't get too out of line. I would look to avoid playing huge pots pre-flop, especially before you've any clue.
We're actually going to see some action here. Sorry to interrupt you, but we have Andrew flopping a full house and Paul flopping 3 of a kind.
Wow.
Interesting to see how this plays out. Andrew just has the slow play it here.
Well, let's see if Andrew's going to put in a raise on this turn. I certainly expect Paul to bet his 3 of a kind and an open ender as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Paul is going to be in some trouble this hand. I'd be interested to see if Andrew decides to continue to slow play it. I think it makes sense to just call here. He has pretty much nothing to worry about, and he wants his opponent's hand to get as strong as possible. And yeah, as expected, he does make the call.
Now, unfortunately for Paul, that spade is going to be very scary for him. So Andrew's probably not going to get paid off to the same degree that he would if something like a 5 came. That would be pretty crazy. Now I do, but Paul is still going for value, which I do like, and Andrew's definitely going to put in the raise here. Let's see how big, and let's see if Paul's going to pay it off.
Yeah, I actually think if Andrew makes a big enough raise here, he might scare Paul off. That is a pretty dangerous card on the river. And yeah, it looks like he does put in a pretty big bet. It'll be interesting to see what Paul does in this situation. And he does get away from it. That's pretty nice fold.
Great fold there by Paul. Kevin here, Jack-6 offsuit on the button, does make the fold, and William gets a walk there with 10-8 offsuit. Certainly can't be mad about that. Switching to a new table here, right in the action. Joe putting out a bet, likely was the pre-flop. No, actually out of the big blind. So I think it's a 3-bet pot. Do you think that's true, Nick?
Yeah, the pot looks pretty big on the flop. I would imagine it was 3-bet at some point. I would assume that Daniel opened, Joe made a 3-bet, and Daniel just flatted him. And it looks like going to the turn here, Daniel picks up a flush draw. Not that he needs it, but that card is probably going to prevent Joe from putting any more money in the hand.
Absolutely. I think Joe is probably in fold mode here, especially when that heart comes in, although I don't know how often Daniel's checking back the flush, but he certainly is some of the time. And, Daniel, expect him to put out a bet here to try to go for value, but it's going to be tough to get a call from Joe's nines, especially when he doesn't contain a heart. Half pot bet. Don't see Joe making this call, but you never know. Maybe he's a non-believer, and he does make the fold. I'm going to introduce the players at this table quickly. So we have Daniel Sun from MIT. We have Christian Bell, excuse me, not Bale. That would be pretty interesting. I don't know if Christian Bale is a poker player. Although Batman does have a lot of money. Cambridge, we have Joe Colin maybe. And from Brown, we have Ronnie Strode. All certainly great competitors here. And we're seeing a lot of action at this table. So what did we miss in this hand, Nick?
So we saw Daniel opening up under the gun with pocket eights, which is fairly standard. We have Christian with a pretty aggressive 3-bet. With Jack 10 suited on the button. I don't completely mind the 3-bet. You're suited, you're in position, you have two pretty strong connecting cards. It looks like Daniel has been playing pretty aggressively and raising pretty frequently from what we've seen so far at this table. So it's kind of good to put in some 3-bets in your range to kind of keep them in check, especially when you're in position.
And Christian is going to put out the C-bet here. I don't imagine Daniel's going where this is one of the best flops for Daniel that doesn't contain an 8 all undercards. You're not going to see that very often with the snowman. So he does make the call, and boom, turns top set. And then we have Christian who picks up a gut shot. So I think theoretically he should continue on this card, as it is one of the better cards, and you certainly need to have some continuing bluffs. Let's see if he does that, Nick.
Yeah, we see a check from Daniel here, which is kind of scary, opening yourself up to such a card as that. That's a pretty bad card for Daniel, probably about the worst he could have seen here. Now let's see if Christian tries to steal it.
Absolutely. And Christian here would be representing a 9 or a 4, probably more likely to have a 9. Could have a hand like 9, 10, ace 9 suited, maybe Jack 9 suited, stuff like that. And he is going to put out the bet. Daniel makes the snap call with top set, and Daniel takes down large pot just north of 2,500 chips, putting Daniel in a really good position here at this table, being the chip leader.
Yeah, it's a really good just flat call by Daniel. Sometimes some players just end up playing their hands way too aggressively, even in dangerous spots like that. And it wouldn't have necessarily gotten him in trouble that time, but I think it's a smart play to play a little safer with all that's at stake here.
Crypto Miner asked who is doing the commentary. For anyone tuning in a little bit late, thank you for joining us. I'm Nick Schuler, a competitor on the Michigan poker team. Unfortunately, we did not make the finals. And I'm joined by Nick Holden, another competitor on the Michigan poker team, and also a friend. Now, let's see what we got here, Nick.
Yeah, it looks like both players hitting a little bit of the flop. I don't expect either player to be too excited about their hand. It looks like Joe opened from the button and Daniel decided to defend with his 1-gapper. Pretty standard, I'd say.
Now let's see if Daniel's going to go for some thin value. I do definitely like getting some value, especially when Joe checks it back, and it's going to be tough for Joe to get away from this. He does have a pair, check turn. Pairs are actually pretty tough to make in poker. So let's see if he can get away from this.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't mind a call in Joe's spot. In most of the cases, it was played pretty passively by both players. A lot of the time, your 5 is going to be good, but he just ended up getting away from it.
Nice fold by Joe there. Not too much going on here. Maybe Daniel's going to put in the raise with the Jack 5 of hearts. And he does 4 times the big blind. That's a big raise. Don't think Christian has the hand to call Jack 5 offsuit.
Yeah, I would expect him to just throw it away here. What do you think the reasoning for such a big bet sizing in that
Some
open
people
is?
do like to size up in the small blind because they feel their opponents will have a pretty wide calling range. Are going to call a lot of hands in the big blind. Traditionally, though, that's something you would do in a tournament with antes because the big blind would be getting such great odds. So you'd want to bump it up when you're specifically raising out of the small blind. But in a non-ante tournament, I think you should be sticking to one raise size. And we do see Daniel makes the raise with Queen Jack on the button. Joe puts in the standard 3-bet with Ace King, also known as Big Slick, and he does get the fold.
Yeah, I think that you're right about that. The fact that this tournament does have antes makes everything a little more interesting than if there wasn't, especially with there being antes introduced so early into the tournament. It makes things a lot more interesting for the players, more incentive to get into the pots when you can't just sit around and wait for your premiums.
Absolutely. Antes certainly bring a interesting dynamic to poker tournaments. I really love antes. I think it kind of throws players off of their game a little bit, and that's something you can exploit, certainly. Now, we do see Ronnie here, Queen Deuce making the call, Christian with 7 high, although this is a board that's going to favor Christian a lot of the time. Going to have more kings. He's going to have higher pocket pairs. So I would like to see a bet here out of Christian, and he does make it half pot. I think on a paired board, you can go a little bit smaller, especially when you have such a range advantage. And I don't see Ronnie making a call here, but it is possible he's going to float, and he does. And he turns quite a good card. He picks up a flush draw. So I think on a turn like this, I don't actually mind seeing a lead. And I think Ronnie, he might actually just take a showdown value now, or he might actually try to squeeze out a bluff or even a value bet, trying to get a call from ace high. Let's see what he goes for, Nick.
Yeah, I think I like just trying to check call and just get some showdown value. And that's what he ends up doing here. I think that if you bet, you open yourself up to a lot of bluffs because it's not necessarily too frequent that you would just go ahead and bet out the flush there on the river. I would expect a lot of players to check it there, so they can't really be put on the flush. But when you open yourself up like that to getting re-raised, your opponent can just kind of re-raise you with a lot of hands pretty profitably.
Christian here opening under the gun or in the cutoff with same thing, basically on a 4-handed table with King 10 of clubs. Daniel here, King 9, probably a callable hand here with only 4 players on the table out of the big blind, but he does make the fold and Christian takes it down. Joe, ace 4 in the cutoff does make the fold a little bit tight. I can see folding maybe on a 6-handed table under the gun with a weak ace high, but I think 4-handed that is probably a profitable opening. Christian gets a walk here with Queen 8.
Yeah, it looks like Daniel might be tightening up a little bit, which I actually don't think is too bad of a strategy with all things considered, especially with the shorter stack being in the big blind. And it's always good to get your team some more points for the final standings.
Absolutely. So switching tables here, I'll introduce the player. We have Liam Skinner representing Brown. We have Kevin Gu from Cambridge. Emily G from MIT. Yale is represented by Ryan Schiller. And we do see Ryan here has a flush, which he did flop. Emily, ace king suited here. It looks like it went raise by Emily, call by Ryan. Check on the flop. Ryan bets out his flush. Emily folds. Good fold by Emily there. I think she has a lot better calls just with a diamond hand, but we'll see. And Emily, ace 9 here, going to put in the raise in the cutoff. Ryan deuces out of the small blind. It can be tough to play in the small blind. A lot of players play a 3-bet or fold strategy. And it looks like Ryan might be doing this, and he does put in the 3-bet with the deuces. Let's see if Emily's going to call.
Yeah, I definitely think 3-bet or fold is probably a good way to play this, especially three-handed. And with Emily being such a short stack, you don't really want to let her profitably bet out any flop just because she can kind of bet you off of a lot of hands because you are assuming that you're going to be playing for stacks against her stack sizes.
Ryan here puts in the raise, king 4 offsuit. And Liam is going to 3-bet here, ace 5. I really love this 3-bet here. He blocks strong hands. He blocks the aces. He can flop some straight draws. Now, it's not suited, and I'd certainly be 3-betting 100% of the time, basically, with ace 5 suited. But I think you need to work in some offsuits, especially when you're only playing 4-handed, because ranges are going to be wider. Not much of anything here, though, for any of the players on this hand. Just junk all around.
Yeah, I definitely think that this format of the final game is going to play a little differently than the league as a whole, where players were trying to accumulate more points overall for their team. So it was more important to get a consistent standing. But with the prizes being so top heavy, it makes more sense to play aggressively to kind of go for that win.
Got to go for gold. Or in this case, go for green money. Ryan here, king 7 in the big blind. Did I get that right? Yeah.
It looks like
yeah.
It looks like we have a check from Kevin in the small blind with 8-10 suited. Picks up an open-ended straight flush draw, which is pretty nice.
Unfortunately for Kevin, or possibly fortunately here, because he should be able to get this bluff through. Ryan's got king high here. Now, king of clubs would be a very interesting card on the river.
That is looks like it's a 2 times pot bet. That's pretty aggressive from Kevin. I'm curious, what do you think of that sizing?
Well, I mean, look, if you're going to be doing a huge bet like that, I certainly like doing it with your really strong value hands like bluffs, or excuse me, your really strong top of range value hands like sets, top 2 pairs, and doing it with your really strong bluffs, which a open-ended straight flush draw would constitute. I think 2x pot is a little bit big on the turn. I think you can work in some 2x pot bets on the river mainly. Turn, it's you don't see bet sizes over 1.5 times pot, but he did get it through. So I guess that worked out for him in that regard.
We have Ryan here with king 3 offsuit on the button, making it just a little 2x, try to just steal the blinds here. Liam, as expected, continuing to play aggressive.
I'm really loving Liam's aggressive play here. A lot of players will be cautious about 3-betting ace 10, but again, 4-handed, you got to 3-bet wide, and ace 10 block strong hands, flop straight draws, almost kind of like ace 5 does. 2 strong hands here. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, at this point, I'd like to see a 3-bet from Kevin. Just kind of get some more chips in there while you're ahead and maybe fold out some of the more speculative ranges like Liam's hand. And it looks like he does opt to just flat call. Be interesting to see if Liam continues his aggression post-flop.
Liam does put out a bet here under half pot. Liam is certainly going to want to see a king, a jack, a 10, maybe an ace on the turn. I think those are all cards you continue on, probably except for the jack. Probably just want to check your showdown value. And he does pick up a 10 here, so I certainly expect Liam to continue. And this is going to be a tough call from Kevin if he does decide to make it.
Yeah, it's actually a really good card for Liam, especially with his aggression. It's going to be very hard for Kevin to continue here, especially if Liam decides to fire 2 more barrels. And he does look like he sneaks that through.
Emily here, Emily Avocado, king deuce on the button. And we have Kevin, ace queen in the small blind here. That's a strong hand. And we'll see if Ryan's going to get frisky with his jack 4 suited. Emily, though, putting in the raise, getting very aggressive with it.
Yeah, it looks like we are going to probably see a 3-bet from Kevin.
Yeah, certainly would like to see a 3-bet here. Again, being in the small blind, a lot of players do play a 3-bet or fold, and we do. I actually really like Kevin's sizing here. It's a big sizing, but you do want to make a big sizing when you're out of position. And for that exact reason, because you're just going to get folds more often. And I don't know about you, Nick, but I would not want to play my grandmother out of position. So I think that is
It's
the correct play.
absolutely correct. Yeah, you want to try to make sure you're in position as much as possible, even when it's positioned on your grandmother.
All right. Don't talk about my grandma like that. No, I'm kidding. Going to a new table. We have Eli representing Brown. We have Eli Shea, Matt Thorne representing Cambridge, MIT represented by Alan Wang, and Yale represented by Matthew Wang. Let's see what these guys get into here.
Looks like Matt here has a pretty strong hand with a gut shot, but Eli here with top pair nut flush draw is going to be having a little bit more of the best of it. And he does get him to fold it out.
Talk about a nice turn, because then you cover your bases even if you don't hit your diamond. Allen here, ace jack of spades, making the open from the cutoff. Allen is choosing to use the only 2x size. It does make a little bit of sense as he's getting a little bit short stacked, and you just don't want to open up too big. Flop bet, Matt folds, pretty standard here. Queen 8 suited for Matt W. In the cutoff, decides to put in the open. Eli here, ace 7 on the button. Does make the call. Let's see if Allen will tag along. He does not. Good fold by Allen. Matt does outflop Eli here with his top pair. Matt does have to be wary, though. He's got quite a weak kicker here. Eli's sometimes going to have queen 10, queen 9, queen jack, but Matt takes it down.
Bunch of not too exciting hands from everybody here. It looks like Matt's just putting in a raise on the button to try to take down the blinds, and it ends up working out for him. Matt T, sorry.
Matt's going to open here in the cutoff, king 3 suited. I like these players. They're getting quite aggressive, but he is running into Eli's 9s here. So let's see how Eli decides to play it. Flat calls. Look at this flop.
Yeah, that's the best that you can expect in kind of both situations for Eli. He ends up flopping a set, and Matt has a strong enough hand to continue here. I would kind of like to see a raise from Eli here, just so we can kind of charge our draws a little bit more. I think just flatting here is pretty dangerous.
And Eli does put in that raise. Matt makes the call. No club for Matt. I expect Eli to continue here. The only thing Eli's really worried about here is a club or possibly an 8 or a king that would make a straight for 10 jack. And Matt makes a very disciplined fold there with his flush draw.
Yeah, I think with Eli's bet sizing, it was a little too big for him to continue there. He was pretty much betting his entire tournament life on hitting that flush on the river, or else he really didn't have anything else to show for it. Ace King from Matt W here. It looks like we might have a battle of the mats this hand.
Absolutely. Battle of the mats. No, but Matt T is going to make the disciplined fold in the small blind. Now we see Matt T here. He's sitting at just about 12 blinds, it looks like. So I think this spot should be in shove fold. So the question is, do I shove my 3s and wait for, or excuse me, do I shove my 3s and try to either take it down pre-flop or win a flip, or do I look for a better spot? Matt's going to decide to look for a better spot. We see a limp here from Allen, which I don't mind given how short stacked you are. I think you can work in some limps with hands that you can't quite shove, but are a little strong, like 8-9 offsuit. Matt W does put in the raise and gets the fold, which is probably the prime situation for him, because 3s do not flop well unless you hit your 3rd 3. That's a lot of 3s.
Yeah, and I think that the dynamic of this table is pretty interesting, with one player having such a huge chip lead over all the other players. It would be kind of interesting to see how this plays out. I wouldn't necessarily want to be in Eli's position, just because you are obviously you want to be in his position with the chips, but as far as decision making throughout the hands, you're going to come into a lot of more difficult decisions when you have the short stacks playing back at you. And it's always a little rough when you throw away such a massive chip lead. So the pressure's got to be on his shoulders at this point.
Absolutely. Good turn here for Eli. I expect him to bet out with his nut flush draw now after it goes check, check on the flop. And Matt W here does have ace high. Depending on the bet size, I think is going to make the difference in whether or not Matt calls. And Eli goes a little bit under half pot. Totally fine with that sizing. Matt makes the discipline fold. And I think Eli's very happy to take that one down with his worse ace high. Matt, again, ace seven of spades. A lot of suited aces we're seeing, which is quite fun. Although, unfortunately for him, it looks like no one's really got anything too strong here. Allen, 5-3, offsuit on the button, very short stacked. So Allen is sitting.
Yeah, Allen's sitting here in the big blind with 5-3 offsuit. Looks like he's going to make the fold here to Matt. Matt W picking up King Jack offsuit in the big blind. I kind of expect Eli here to open up in the cutoff position. And it looks like he does make it about 2.5 times the big blind. We'll see what Allen decides to do. I would kind of expect him to just throw it away here. Matt, I would like to see a 3-bet out of Matt in this situation. It puts pressure on Eli, and it kind of shows him that even though he has the chip advantage on you, you won't be pushed around by him. So I think it just kind of makes a little bit of sense to keep the chip leader here in check. We have a check from Matt W. And Eli goes ahead and bets it and takes it down.
Matt here. Oh, switching tables here.
Yeah, switching tables, it looks like we have Isaac from MIT opening up to 180 from under the gun. We have a 3-bet from Donnie. That's his ace-3 suited on the button. It'd be interesting to see what happens here. Both players with pretty strong hands, but Donnie with the position ends up taking it down.
Isaac here, pocket sevens in the big blind. Michael, 7-6 offsuit dominated. Michael does put in the raise, which I do like depending on how loose Isaac's going to call. Isaac does just make the call here. I think you're certainly going to want to 3-bet some of the time, possibly not all of the time, and he decides to flat call here. Now, Michael's sitting here with 7 high. Let's see if he's going to bluff at it. He does not. Isaac checks back, takes his showdown value. Very safe card for Isaac. You love to see that when you're holding a middling pocket pair such as sevens. Now Michael's going to take a stab at it. And Isaac does make the call, which I do like. And that's actually a good river card for Isaac because it's less likely that Michael here is going to hold a jack, which I don't think he's going to have often, but it's possible he's got some top pair checks on the flop. Now let's see if Michael is going to put in another bluff and try to take it down. I don't know exactly what he could represent here. Maybe if he overbets, he could have a really weak jack like Jack 5 that's going to check the flop, but Michael does put in the check, and I do kind of like giving up there, and Isaac is going to take it down.
Yeah, I like just giving up there also because if you do end up betting there, nothing really makes sense for you to have, and it's kind of just betting for the sake of betting. You're not really representing anything. You're just thinking at this point, oh, I should probably bet and just try to, no real thought behind it. So I do like that. It appears that he's actually thinking what he could be representing and just makes the check and kind of save themselves some money there.
And Donnie here is going to let it go. Theo gets the walk with the ace king big slick. Ooh, Isaac suited connector here, sitting around 54 big blinds. It looks like putting in the 3x raise. Let's see if he gets any action out of the king deuce here for Theo, although I don't imagine it.
Yeah, I can't say. Oh, he does actually make the call, a little loose call out of the big blind, especially out of position. I wouldn't want to be in that spot too often. He actually has the best hand here with a pair of 2s. I'm not sure if he'll end up making this. He does make this call. He must know something we don't. Okay, yeah, it looks like he does know something we don't. Pulls it Yeah, it just pulls out 2 pair on the turn, not too hard.
And this board is going to generally favor Isaac's range being the preflop raiser. He's going to have the stronger aces. He's going to have ace king. He's going to have more ace jacks, more ace queens, more pocket aces, pocket kings, pocket jacks. And we do see him continue to bluff here. I don't think Theo's going anywhere. Now let's see if Theo's going to set the trap with a flat call or put in the raise right now. And he does go for setting the trap. Isaac did pick up a pair of sevens, decides to take his showdown value. Theo wishes Isaac would have bet again, but you can't get everything you want. But Theo does pick up a nice pot there with his 2-pair.
Looks like we're switching tables again, back to table 1. We have William in the small blind, putting in a little bit of a raise, blind versus blind. I wouldn't mind a call from Andrew here. He's getting a decent price. He has a suited 1-gapper. It's not really the end of the world here for him. Oh, and he actually makes a 3-bet. I kind of like that a lot, just puts a little more pressure on William and kind of just prevents him from getting bullied by William in every situation.
Now it is a little bit small of a size here, so William's going to have a pretty high incentive to call here, and let's see. And William puts in the 4-bet. Wow, we're getting some real action here. Let's see if Andrew's going to continue the story and go all in as a bluff.
Yeah, I think if we see Andrew go on as a bluff here, we just need to give him the prize money, and he does lay it down, unfortunately.
Lay it down. That would be pretty ballsy. Wow. And Kevin gets the walk here. King deuce of hearts. William ace 9 on the button. And we see kind of Kevin there snake in the grass with his suited connector that flops very well. Let's see if he'll flat call, look to see a flop, 3-bet, try to take it down pre-flop, or just let it go out of the small blind. Let's see what Kevin does decide to go for here against Williams open.
Yeah, I don't mind his hand too much, but you have to keep in mind that you're going to be out of position to every player at the table when you're in the small blind. So he does make the fold. Paul here defending with his king 8 offsuit. William continue betting, hitting the middle pair. Yeah, it looks to be a pretty standard bet. Good bet. It's probably going to take it down here.
Certainly with your middle pairs, you're going to want to work in some checks and some bets. Although William here, he did hold the nut kicker ace, and there was a flush draw out there. So I do like a bet. Maybe you'd be checking back your middle pairs on drier boards when you have a weak kicker just for pot control. But William does take it down. Not much of anything here for the players, although scratch that. Andrew hits a straight with a redraw to the straight flush. William here, ace high. William's going to try to get cheaply to showdown with his ace high, but I don't think Andrew's going to allow that here with his straight.
Yeah, I think I actually like checking behind on that turn. Just kind of let your opponent catch up a little bit. Paul here with pocket queens on the button will probably end up seeing some action here. I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin opened and then got 3-bet by Paul here.
Absolutely. Let's see what's... All right, Kevin does make the open to 150. Now, Paul, what do you think about a shove here or just a smaller 3-bet, maybe to something around 450? I think probably just a smaller 3-bet. Yeah, 400 is probably optimal.
Yeah, that's a pretty good sizing because it kind of prices your opponent in here. And you're pretty happy to be seeing a flop heads up with queens.
Kevin here, let's see what he's going to do. King 9 certainly at some point is a hand you could 4-bet, maybe not at these stack depths, but it can make a decent bluff here given its blocker qualities. Good flop though for Paul. Going to want to charge the potential flush draws that Kevin might have with 2 diamonds, get value from pair jacks, get value from 10s, 9s. So Paul is going to put in the smaller sized bet here, but it doesn't work. Kevin makes the fold, but looks like Kevin's back for revenge. He's got pocket jacks, pocket jiggities, some may call them. Now, a lot of people, they almost don't like pocket jacks because they say they're hard to play. There's pretty much always an overcard on the flop, but still a very strong hand. And I think we're going to see a 3-bet here out of Kevin. William certainly pressing his big stack advantage here, making these opens on the button. Love to see it. 8-6 suited, and Andrew
with the 4-bet here. With the three
I
bet.
think
Sorry, Kevin with a flat. That's a little dangerous seeing a flop three ways with pocket jacks. We'll see if that ends up biting him here.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, just being four-handed, I think you could even pile in there with jacks, but he does make the flat call. And it's going to actually work out for me because he's got Andrew dominated. He's got a pair of jacks. Kevin would certainly rather have two kings on the flat rather than one, and that's what he gets here. And Andrew's just going to make the check here, not put in the C bet. And let's see if Kevin's going to go for value, maybe let his opponent catch up. Let's see what he goes for here.
Yeah, Andrew just picking the wrong time to get a little aggressive pre-flop. We'll end up seeing if he tries to do something crazy here.
And I don't mind this bet sizing here. Andrew, his range is going to consist here of a lot of ace highs that he's going to try to get to showdown value. And this certainly is a sizing that ace high can call. And Andrew goes for the check raise here. Very interesting.
Oh, Andrew takes it down. That is
wow.
That's a really aggressive line and end up paying off for him. That'll be
Very
interesting to I wonder what Kevin is gonna think when he sees that on the feed later.
Yeah, he's not gonna be happy, I'll tell you that, buddy. But Kevin might get some revenge here. I'm loving it. King 10 suited in the small blind. Let's see, he goes for a little revenge three bet. As you know, your revenge range is usually quite wide. And let's see if King 10 fits into Kevin's revenge range here.
Yeah, this is definitely a revenge range, and this is way higher than average for revenge range. And it looks like Andrew is not really going to let him get that revenge here.
Andrew here flops top pair on a paired board. Both players, not much of anything. That being said, though, Kevin does have some backdoor shenanigans going on here. And also King High could be good some of the time here. And look, it's a small bet. I mean, this is Kevin simply has to continue on such a small bet like this with your backdoors on a paired board. Because look, when you're getting these incredible odds, you have to continue with your backdoors. And he does. Paul here, I don't imagine him tagging along, but he does. Paul's also looking for that backdoor heart, but neither player is going to get it. Now let's see if Andrew goes for some pot control here or keeps pressing his advantage.
Yeah, Paul picking up the backdoor straight draw here. I'm not sure how much that's worth, but one thing I will mention, I actually really like Andrew's play. He's really consistent throughout his bet sizing. We saw him betting roughly the same size with a bluff as when he has a really strong hand like in this hand. So I think he's playing pretty consistently and not doing anything just completely out of line.
Agreed here. I don't know what's his little emoji there. Maybe what is that? A Superman, Wonder Woman? I'm not sure.
Well, whatever it is, it looks to be pretty fitting so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Superman, super bet sizing. And Paul here making the bluff on the river. Now, will Andrew be able to make the call here? I mean, look, when you get two callers on the flop, your ace, especially with your 8 kicker, it's not going to be good too often, but the flush draw did miss, and Andrew gets the fold. I don't see Kevin making the call here, and let's see if Paul's going to be able to get away with this bluff, and he does. Paul, apparently 4-5 suited is Andrew's kryptonite here. And Paul does get away with it. I don't know who any of the Superman supervillains are. But Paul is whoever that would be. I don't know. Is there like a kryptonite man?
I think there's yeah, I have no idea either. So we'll just call him Super Paul. That's what we'll do.
Super Paul.
How about that? Yeah. The evil genius. Yeah.
The evil genius, Paul, with his 4-5 suited. Both players here ace high. Andrew does pick up a little gut shot, but he's just going to check his showdown value. Unfortunately for him, he's outkicked here with his ace high with Andrew. I outkicked. I don't know if that's the right word, but you know what? I don't care. Andrew here does put in the really small bet with his ace high. That seems like some thin value, charging flush draws or straight draws maybe, and he does get a fold. He's certainly not disappointed to see a fold there. Switching tables here. See, we're down to 3 players here. Ronnie's got the chip lead here, was outkicked there and made a good fold.
Like we lost a player at this table as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So who, Ronnie, Daniel, Joe, Let's see who lost here. Let me pull up my spreadsheet here. I'm quite prepared. As you can see, we lost Christian Bell, not to be confused with Christian Bale, aka Batman, aka what else was Christian Bale and
American
that
Psycho, of course.
American Psycho. He's in was he in The Big Slick? Is that what? No, that's not the movie. The Big Short with was he in that? I don't know.
I have no idea. I could tell you right now. Let's see.
Yeah, look up that IMDb.
Yeah,
Joe
we got,
here.
we got all the forms of Batman, American
All the
Psycho, Thor, apparently.
Thor.
Interesting.
Okay. I thought that was
Oh, the new Thor. Okay, there we go.
Thor.
The
Gotcha.
2022 Thor, which he'll be playing Gore the God. So
Is he running for a congressional election, Thor 2022?
I think so. Do you have any opinions on the 2024 election?
Yeah, I mean, we'll I think the question is probably I don't want to get too deep into politics here because it sucks. Well, I guess the big question is if Trump still hasn't announced anything, and he's probably the biggest player certainly on the Republican side. Democrat side, who knows if Joe Biden is going to run again, but we'll see. Daniel here opening up ace queen.
I'd actually like to see Phil Ivey run in 2024. That'd be pretty interesting. He seems like a good handle on everything. Yeah.
Phil Ivey, Phil Hellmuth, 2024, the poker ticket. They can bluff Xi Jinping in the South China Sea. We'll see if that works. And Ronnie's here going to put in the 3-bet with his President Xi of China, by the way, aka what's that bear who likes the honey?
Oh, Winnie the Pooh. Yeah, of course.
Winnie the Pooh. South Park did that. And
I think with that, we have just been banned from China. So thank you, Nick.
There we go. Banned from China. All right. I was already banned from China, though. And so Ronnie here does put in the 3-bet with ace deuce suited, which I do like with these kind of suited wheel aces. Again, you got to open your range, especially 3 ways here. But Daniel does have Ronnie dominated here with his ace queen. Goes check on the flop. Let's see if players are just going to want to get to a showdown with their ace high, or if Ronnie might take a stab at it.
Yeah, it looks like nothing too interesting. It's kind of surprising how passively both players are playing it after such an aggressive, after seeing such aggressive action pre-flop. But it looks like Daniel, just as I say that, is going to turn up the aggression a little bit.
Making a small bet here. Now let's see if Ronnie thinks his ace high is good here. He does make a good fold. Well done, Ronnie. Joe, ooh, look at this here, folks. 2 ace kings. Joe's got king 7 suited. This should certainly get a little bit interesting here. I expect Ronnie to put in a 3-bet here. And let's see if Daniel's just going to flat call or put in the cold 4.
Yeah, I imagine we'll end up seeing Daniel and Ronnie just get it in here and just nothing too interesting, unless one of the players gets extremely unlucky. Yeah,
nothing worse than when you have the same hand, basically, but then your opponent hits the flush. And Daniel does put in the cold 4-bet here. Joe's like, God, what am I doing here? That is always funny when you get 3-bet and 4-bet with your junk. Now Ronnie here, let's see if he makes the flat call with the cold 4, which is representing a very strong range, the cold 4, or if he's just going to pile it all in and hope to get there with ace king. He does pile.
And the snap call by Daniel.
Now let's see if these suits bring anything interesting. Nope, no flush possibilities for either player. Chop it up. A little bit disappointing for both players. Just going to chop it up. Thankfully, there's no rake, or else the house would be the real winner on that one. But we are in a tournament style, so no rake. Ronnie here, junk. Switching over, still 4 players left here. We got 2 strong hands battling out. Probably looks like Ryan raised, First to act, Liam 3-bet. Ryan is going to outflop Liam's 8s here with ace jack, although Liam does have a little sliver of hope in that 8 of diamonds. And Ryan is going to check his top pair. Very interesting. And Liam's going to bet his 8s, maybe charging. I don't know. What do you think about this, Nick?
I actually like the bet by Liam here. He does have the best hand a majority of the time, I would think. I didn't see the action, the initial action pre-flop, so I don't know if Ryan ended up raising and it got 3-bet by Liam, or well, Liam 3-bet him, but
Ryan raised, Liam 3-bet, and then Ryan flat called. So the flop check doesn't make sense. And yeah, I do like Liam's bet.
yeah, and we have looks like they both checked on the turn. I would like to see Liam bet again here. I think he could get Ryan off the hand if he bet. Okay, it looks like Ryan's just gonna take a stab at it, try to a little bit of value, and he actually gets paid off here, which is interesting.
Nice hand by Ryan getting paid off there by the 8s. Liam did there have the 8 of diamonds blocking the flush, which is a little something here. Now, Emily is sitting at 1,500 chips, just about, with ace deuce on the button. 1,500 chips is going to be right around 19 big blinds, if I'm not mistaken here. And she is going to make the raise. So not quite in a shove fold range yet. And she does take it down pre-flop. Now we do have a pretty big chip discrepancy here. We got Kevin and Ryan, the big fat cats with their big fat stacks. And then you got Emily and Liam kind of down at the bottom there, looking up at the castle. Kevin here, love it, getting frisky with the 7 deuce of clubs. I don't think they're playing 7 deuce game, but it looks like Kevin might be trying to have a little bit of fun and just use his button. The button is a very powerful tool.
Yeah, especially with having such a big chip advantage. Most of the time, you really don't care too much about what you have on the button. You have pretty good equity to just bet anyway, especially putting so much pressure on the short stacks.
Now we do see Mr. Liam here flopping top pair. Now Liam just made the flat call pre-flop, it looks like, so Kevin is the aggressor. Let's see if he decides to put in his c-bet here with his 7 high, only backdoor straight draw. I don't think Liam would go anywhere, but we see check, check. Great turn for Liam, top 2 pair. Now this is a turn that would traditionally favor Kevin's range. Being the pre-flop raiser, he's going to have more aces in general, but especially checking back the flop, he's going to want to take his showdown with an ace high here. So you'd expect this turn to hit Kevin. I think that's why we see a little bit bigger of a bet here because it is favorable for Kevin's range. But Kevin does fold. Liam takes it down with his top 2 pair. Would have certainly liked some action there, but you can't always get what you want. Kevin here continuing to press the action here. King 3 suited. Ryan flat calling on the button. King 9 offsuit. Liam 6-7 does not decide to get a little frisky. Emily here, King 10 offsuit, getting a really, really good price, a little bit better than 6-1 here. So I expect her to make the call. And this is on. I think a jam here isn't too out of line. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up. I would kind of actually like to see her shove there. She has a good amount of fold equity, and she would end up adding like 6 big blinds to her stack, which is going to be really huge for her right now. But she does end up making the fold.
Check, check on the flop. It looks like turn is another ace, also bringing in the 3rd diamond. Both players with the whole lot of nothing. Kevin does have the gut shot, so we'll see if he decides to bluff that. And he does put in the bet. Totally works. Ryan folds. Kevin just continuing to press his advantage here. Switching tables. 3 players here. Joe, medium stack. Daniel, 94, 73. Huge, huge stack.
Yeah,
and then
Daniel
we got
with the huge chip lead right now, looking to be in a good spot for his team.
Ronnie sitting at just under 9 big blinds. And he is deciding to min raise here with the Jack 5. I don't know if Jack 5 suited. I don't know if I can endorse that play, but I guess it does work here. And he ups his stack a little bit to around 20 big blinds, it looks like. And he does get a walk here. Switching tables again, we have Isaac jamming over the raise all in. Michael's going to let it go with the 3 deuce. when you're in Isaac's spot, though, you certainly love to just take that down pre-flop, not have to see a flop with your very weak ace. So well done, Isaac there. Isaac sitting about 15 big blinds. Donnie 36, Michael 72. Huge chip leader here for Michael. Putting in the raise, Jack 10 offsuit. And Donnie's going to let it go there with, I believe that was Jack 8 suited.
Yeah, Michael with a huge chip lead here. Isaac with a pretty strong hand in the button. I would expect him to raise it here and not be too unhappy about going all in if the situation comes up. And
Definitely
he does just take down the blinds here.
Absolutely here. Now it's Donnie's turn with ace jack. Certainly expect a raise here. Let's see if Michael will come along with the 9-6 out of the big blind. Probably not, but I've seen crazier things before today.
Yeah, especially with him having such a big chip lead. A lot of the time, people do end up like to play more hands when they do have such a massive chip lead. So I wouldn't be too surprised if he continues. Not necessarily agree with it, but we have kings for Michael here, which is going to be pretty interesting.
Isaac 16 big blinds, queen jack. Let's see if it's all going to get in.
Yeah, and I would kind of expect it to here. Isaac with such a short stack.
And he folds. Very interesting play.
Yeah, it looks like he might be waiting a little bit longer. I guess that he still does have about 16 big blinds, which isn't like the worst case. It does end up getting a little shorter for him once you figure out antes, but I guess he's not completely in a dire situation yet.
I have Donnie here, fairly strong hand in the big blind, does make the flat call. Ace high versus king high. No worry though for Donnie, flops middle pair. Michael still with his ace high. Donnie's certainly not going anywhere on this flop. Check, check. Ooh, bad turn for Donnie. Michael hits that ace, and I think Donnie knows it too to a certain extent. He's definitely not liking that turn. Let's see if Michael's going to go for value here.
Yeah, it's definitely I could see Michael getting some value here out of Donnie. I wouldn't expect him to have an ace a lot of the time on the button. That there's definitely a lot more hands that he could have in this situation. So I wouldn't mind just one call and kind of reevaluating.
Agreed. Yeah, Michael's going to have some middle pairs, stuff like 8-9, 7-9 suited, maybe even 6-9 suited. Michael does
check behind by Michael, and we're switching tables again. Looks like we have Matt in the big blind with aces.
Angels, rockets, pocket rockets. He's got the goods. That is the best hand in poker, believe it or not. Also my favorite hand in poker for probably the same reason. Puts in a small 3-bet here. Let's see if Matt's going to get sticky. Does make the fold. Battle of the Mats. Matt T takes it down with his pocket aces. 5s again for Matt here in the small blind. Certainly a very playable hand. And let's see if he goes for limp or a raise maybe. Now, Alan's a little short stack here, sitting at just about 11 big blinds. So I do think I like a jam here from Matt. You do have to jam very wide in the small blind and on the button. That's what he goes for. Alan, not a great hand. 7 deuce of hearts. Certainly not a good hand to just call the all in with. So Matt's going to take it down, which I don't think he's too mad about. With 5s, you're going to be flipping most of the time. So just a race. King 9 suited.
Absolutely. And things are going to get really dangerous at this point for Alan with such a short stack. He's going to have to start making some moves if he wants to get back in this.
We do have 2 fairly strong hands here. We got Matt W with the jacks, jiggities, putting in the 3-bet. Matt T makes a snap fold, the King 9 suited. Again, 2 strong hands here. Matt W, pocket 9s, Eli, the big slick, they call it, ace, king, an angel, and a cowboy. Putting in the 3-bet here. I don't think Matt's going to go anywhere. Very strong hand here. And these are the 2 chip leaders at the table. Titans are colliding today, folks. Clash of the Titans. Was that a movie? What is that? Whatever. Eli.
It's a movie or a TV show. It's one of those.
Yeah, I think it's a movie. Clash of Clans. Great game. Eli here outflops Matt's 9s. It's going to be tough for Matt to get away from it here with 1 street, but we'll see if he has the discipline to lay it down. does make
Yeah, I
the
agree. I
call.
think that just based off of his pre-flop play in this hand, he's not wanting to put in a crazy amount with this hand. So I think he'll probably end up saving himself some money this hand. I would have liked a 4-bet pre-flop actually to kind of avoid this situation. But yeah, there's really nothing he can do at this point. He kind of has to just keep going with it.
Eli firing the second barrel, and I'll tell you, those barrels are just going to get bigger and bigger. If Matt calls here, he's probably going to get put all in by Eli on the river. Let's see if he's going to get away from it. Going into his purple time bank there. Certainly a tough spot for Matt here. Matt's going to be very happy when he sees that one on stream. Nice fold, Matt. Correct play. Us being the all-knowing overlords here of this game.
Switching tables again here with Andrew with just a massive chip lead on the other players. Looking like he has about double their stack combined, roughly.
And the rich keep getting richer. And Andrew takes it down again, breaking 10K chip lead. The Bill Gates of this game. Hopefully he doesn't get divorced and loses a lot of money, but that's probably not a thing in poker. William here. I don't even know what I'm talking about. William here. Jack 10, Paul 7-6.
Kind of exciting flop for both players. Paul with a really short stack at this point. I wouldn't be too surprised to see him go all in here. Oh, and he does pick up the flush.
And it looks like Kevin Jiang, by the way, has been eliminated from this table. So down to 3 players now. Superman watching from the sidelines. Now look at this here. We got a flush versus a pair, although not a great flush, you know.
Yeah, not too
flush.
bad or not too great of a pair either. So I don't think that either player is going to go too crazy here. Yep,
And they
taking their showdown value. And it's interesting to kind of see that Kevin has been eliminated first when MIT was the betting lead. Was that correct?
That is correct. They had a 35% chance, I believe it was 36.9% chance MIT had of winning. That certainly dropped now that Kevin has been eliminated. But good luck to the rest of the players here today. Now we're down to heads up on this table. Daniel having a commanding chip lead, although Joe has a very commanding hand currently. He's got the nuts.
Yeah, the nuts with the open-ended straight flush draw. And it looks like Dan is going to get away from it.
Now, these players are playing heads up, as we can see, so you really have to widen your range. I mean, heads up poker is almost like a different game completely here. You know, all that junk you were folding before, like 9, 6, 10, 7, that's all going to have to be open now.
And Joe just making a straight every hand, it looks like.
Wow, look at this. Unfortunately for Joe, Daniel's got just a gut shot here. But let's see what happens. Maybe Daniel's going to try to get out of line here because he blocks the nuts, but no, just going to let it go.
But 10-5 suited from Daniel on the button here. I expect him to open it. That's pretty strong heads up. Not the greatest, but definitely you can't just fold it every time. And picks up a massive flop here.
Huge flop for Daniel. Middle pair, flush draw. He's got all the equity in the world. Joe here just has king high. Let's see what Daniel decides to do here.
Daniel does decide to bet it out. Joe with kind of a tough decision. His hand is pretty strong heads up. It's kind of hard to make a pair heads up, so he kind of might feel he's good a decent amount of the time with such a high kicker. And no, it does look like some folds right here.
Daniel here, this is certainly a raisable hand at this point. King Jack offsuit. Looks like Joe's doing a little bit of limping there with his 6-4. Daniel does put in the raise. It's going to be tough for Joe to continue. We're going to check back in on that heads up later. Now we're going to some 4-way action here.
Yeah, interesting. I think this might be our only table with 4 players still.
Ooh, look at this. Kevin has just a little three of a kind. Ryan has a gut shot, and he's really going to press that gut shot. And I don't see Kevin going anywhere. Unfortunately for Ryan, Kevin's got that 7 that he really needs and wants. And let's see if let's see if Kevin's just going to put in the raise or allow his opponent to keep bluffing.
It'd be interesting to see if a 7 does come out here, and it's an offsuit 7 as well. This is going to be a really, really bad hand for Ryan.
And these are the two biggest stacks at the table. Very almost even there at 5,000. Incredible. Let's see if all the chips get in here. The pot right now is sitting at 1,500. So the players have just shy of 4 pot size bets in their stack. Ryan bets. Kevin's not going anywhere with his full house. I know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that with it being such a small pot, just heading up to this point, I think Ryan has a chance of not losing all his chips here. I think he's been playing pretty well. And with that bet sizing, it puts Ryan in a really tough spot.
And he just makes the flat call. Good discipline there not to re-raise and get too nutty. Total cooler here. Kevin takes it down with the full house. Unfortunate for Ryan. Kevin now holding a commanding chip lead. Going back here to the Matt Eli table. 2 hands here. Eli, big slick. Matt, king jack, raise, call, top pair for Eli.
Yeah, Eli really getting the best of it here. And we have Alan Wang from MIT out on this table. Definitely not the kind of showing that you'd want if you're MIT this year, especially after being so strong in the pre-final.
Rogue Juggernaut, thank you. Very active in the chat. We love to see it. A rogue Juggernaut. That's dangerous. I would not want a rogue Juggernaut. That is not who you want going rogue. Matt does decide to pile it in here with the A7, takes it down pre-flop. Can't be too disappointed about that. Matt W, King 10, Matt T, Ace 4, and then Eli is sitting there with his 6-3 of spades. Oh, rogue, like the color. That what color is? How do you say that? Rouge.
Rouge, like the
Isn't that a
the
food?
it's like a some type of makeup, basically, like the stuff that girls put on their like cheeks, like the red powder kind of thing.
Ah,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm not a speller. Certainly wasn't in the spelling bee as a young lad. I can't even spell poker really. Eli here, king 3 on the button. Matt T with the Brunson, named after the infamous Doyle. Not infamous. He's not like a villain or anything. Actually, probably a nice guy. Matt T here holding the Brunson 10 deuce. Doyle Brunson won 2 World Series with 10 deuce, 3 maybe? 2,
Yeah, I think it was 2 and they're back to back, interestingly enough.
10 deuce, so hence why they call it the Brunson. I wonder how much money Doyle Brunson has made by people getting out of line with 10 deuce. You know what I mean? Against him, like, oh, I'm going to beat Brunson with the Brunson. He's probably made a lot of money just from people running their 10 deuce into like his ace 10 and then stacking them.
Sure.
Top pair. 4-way action here, or four players at the table. Love to see it. A lot of queens going on, but
yeah, and this table is a little more even in stack sizes than some of the other tables that we've been seeing. It looks like these players are just kind of waiting it out and seeing what happens.
Now, how do you spell rogue? Do we know that? How do you spell rogue?
It's a R-O-G-U-E.
R-O, and this is just, oh, I see. So it's a little U switch around, Rouge v Rogue.
Exactly.
Now, I wonder what that like is.
Little switcheroo, yeah.
Yeah, the classic switcheroo. Rogue, or no, Rouge Juggernaut. Put in the chat your name origin story. I'd like to see that. Now, both players here do have a pair of 9s. Isaac's got the better kicker, so Donnie's got to be a little bit cautious here. I don't imagine Donnie losing his whole stack here, but he's certainly going to lose a chunk of change. Bet call, check. Wouldn't be surprised to see a check here.
Yeah, I would like a check just to kind of not overvalue your hand at this point.
Absolutely. Check.
Oh, and
Donnie.
that's good. Pretty good for Donnie. Not so good for Isaac from MIT. MIT is just running really bad in this tournament here.
Very unfortunate for MIT. Delicious river for Donnie. Let's see if he's going to get paid off by Isaac. Can't certainly jam all the chips in. I don't imagine Isaac making that call very often, but I think a smaller bet could get called. Let's see if Isaac does decide to try to keep Donnie honest. But unfortunately for Isaac, Donnie has the goods.
Yeah, it is a shame that MIT is just so bad. It's unfortunate at this point. Like they've been doing so good in the pre-league, and it's just, you hate to see it.
Very unfortunate for MIT.
Unfortunate run for MIT.
Certainly. Sometimes the cards just don't fall in your favor, and that's poker. You know what I mean? That's poker for you. Ryan here, 8-9 in the cutoff. Let's see if he goes for the open. Liam, not much. Emily, King 9 in the small blind. Kevin, King 5 suited.
Yeah, Emily's still holding on here.
Which I do like from Emily being so short stacked. Kevin does call it off. Kevin's ahead, but it's certainly close right now. Let's see if Emily's going to hang on. No dice for Emily so far, drawing to a queen or a 9. That's neither of them. Emily, 14%. Can she hit the queen or the 9? She does not. Kevin takes it down with his 8s and 5s. Emily, G's. Emily is a very strong player. We've seen her all throughout the year putting up good results. So GG's to Emily. Congratulations on making it this far, much farther than Holden and I. So you got to give credit where credit is due. And that's another MIT player getting unlucky. Very unfortunate for that team today. Just maybe isn't the poker gods, let's say, aren't favoring them. Unfortunate, but MIT, they've got some really solid players. And
yeah, definitely. Emily throughout the season scored an average of, I think it was 8.5 points, which put her consistently between second and third place, which is pretty impressive to be that consistent throughout the tournament. It's unfortunate in this final here.
We've seen her stick to a consistent style, and it's paid off this year for Emily. So congratulations, Emily. We got the Wilster Cambridge Till I Die. Nice. Kevin here. Middle pair, Ryan ace high. Ryan's going to put in the C bet, it looks like. And Kevin turning trips. Ryan here's got a gut shot, so we'll see if he continues to bluff. Rouge Juggernaut. I'm loving it, but you still haven't told us your origin story. Red. He said red. French. All right.
Yeah, and
Now,
there we
did
go.
Ryan I believe he did. Am I wrong? Wow, Kevin leads out.
Kevin putting Ryan all in here. And pretty expectable. Kevin with just a massive chip lead here for Cambridge.
Going back to heads up, I told you we'd be back. Daniel and Joe here. Joe takes down a sizable pot.
Yeah, it looks like we're evening out the stacks a little bit from, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Daniel previously had quite a large chip advantage. Now it's dwindling a little bit. Seeing some heads up play here. Joe 10-6, Daniel Queen 5. Now this would be, if Joe decides to raise here, this would be very telling. You know, Joe is, so Joe raises here. So now, you know, we know he likes to mix it up, opening very wide, heads up. Daniel does make the fold. So I think Daniel's probably playing a little bit tighter, and I think Joe is actually exploiting that and maybe opening up his range in order to capitalize on Daniel's tightness, take down some chips pre-flop.
Yeah, and just in case anyone was curious on the stream, we have an implied finish little box in the bottom left corner, and how that's actually calculated is it calculates it based upon the players that are left, their chip stack, and the amount of points the teams have already made. So you'll see that fluctuate throughout the tournament as people get knocked out.
Yeah, we have a very awesome software here. Shout out to the guys at IPA who make all this happen, software and all. I mean, it's absolutely incredible what these geniuses are able to code and make a kind of beautiful setup here that I think gives the viewers at home some interesting tidbits to look at. You got the photos on the side, the logos, the stack, the increases, the charts kind of looking like Dogecoin there, implied finishes. This stream has the good. Tell your friends, tell your children, tell the world, because we got it, baby. Oh, yeah.
Everyone likes a good chart. So I'm hoping that's everyone's favorite part of the stream. Not the action, but everyone loves the chart.
Everyone loves the chart. I'm just staring at the charts. I don't even know what these cards are. Daniel here, top pair. Joe, middle pair. Joe does decide to make the call. Now let's see if Daniel's gonna get his second street of value, or if Joe's gonna make the disciplined lay down with his second pair. Poor kicker.
Yeah, it's harder than you would think to lay down those type of hands heads up. But that bet size makes it a little bit easier.
And if you look, there's a flush draw out there, so Daniel's going to have a lot of those. You'd expect his flush draws to go bet. So let's see if Joe's going to try to keep him honest, or if he's just going to let it go. Disciplined fold, though, by Joe. The correct fold as well. Joe, queen 3 of hearts on the button, or as Tony G would say, queen 3 of hearts. You got to have some hot. And Daniel, 10-9 in the big blind. Nick Holden, who is your favorite poker player?
Geez, that's a good question. I would probably have to say Tom Dwan. I know Alex's favorite player, Alex Wu, the president of the IPA. He's pretty big fan of Liv Bory. What is your feelings on that whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, Liv is a poker legend, certainly trailblazing. Being a trailblazer in the female poker community. So she's certainly done a lot of good work for that. My favorite player is probably Nick Schulman. Love his demeanor. He's kind of a New York legend when it comes to poker, and I just think he's a funny, cool guy who always keeps things casual. And he's doing commentating now, actually, with Poker Go. You saw him commentate I think he commentated the Daniel Phil match. I think he might have done the Helmuth Esfandiari. Everyone who doesn't know poker players are like, what are these guys talking about? But he commentated those. Obviously a fantastic poker player, certainly knows very much about the game. So he's always interesting to listen to. William, all in here, 10 big blinds with pocket fives, gets the full. So now we're heads up here between Superman, Andrew, jams it
all in here.
William ahead, but Andrew's not too far behind. But William does hit that king, and the 4 on the turn seals it. William was representing Yale. William Peng. Oh no, never mind. He was the one that won. Scratch everything I just said.
William's crushing it. It's about to come back here, and it looks like don't count him out too soon.
Exactly. Now William's going to win and prove me wrong. I'm actually doing this for William's sake, so he's going to get some motivation. You know what I mean? So William, if you win this, you're welcome, and I'm taking 20% of your prize money. So thank you for that. Andrew here does have a pair here. Bottom pair makes the call. Oh, spicy turn.
Straight. Yeah, that is a pretty interesting turn. Andrew with the flush draw here. William with the made straight. Pretty big bet here. Oh, Andrew with the call. It's a little bit of a loose call, I would think, trying to hit that straight there. It's giving away a little bit of his advantage here.
Now, I don't see Andrew making this call. Would certainly be. Oh, and he does. He tries to keep William honest, but William does have the goods, takes down a large pot with the straight. Now these players are getting closer in chip stacks. Wow. We have Rouge Juggernaut's origin story. I was trying to spell Rouge like the archetype. I don't know what an archetype is, but I misspelled it because I was 12. Gotcha. Well, I am 20 and I don't know how to spell Rouge or Rogue. So you're doing fine, Juggernaut. Still ahead of the game, I think. Bayard Bikes origin story. Best Belgian old school bike. Love that. I'm a big fan of bikes. I like how they can get you from a place to another place, and I like to ride them with no hands.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that.
Wear a helmet, everybody. It's dangerous.
Yeah, wear a helmet.
Wear a helmet.
Yeah.
That'll get us out of the hole I've dug us. If you just say wear helmet, it cleans your record for the party.
Wear a
basically.
helmet, stay away from
All
Tony
in
G.
here, pocket tens versus king eight. Ryan's going to need to hit a king. He has not done it yet. Okay, 8 or a king now. He's got some outs. 11% does not get there. Liam, takes it down. Ryan was representing Yale. Ryan Schiller. Well played, sir. Coming in third place at this table. G's, that stands for good game. Liam taking down a pot there. Now, this talk about some wealth inequality here. We got Kevin sitting up there putting Liam all in, but Liam does hit his jack. Kevin's going to need an 8 or a king. Liam 2 pair. Kevin drawing again to an 8 or a king.
Oh, that's
and
rough.
He gets there. Wow. Kevin takes it down, wins his table. Congratulations to Kevin, who takes it down. Kevin representing Cambridge, Kevin Gu. Congratulations, Kevin. And that is the first winner we have had today at the tables. Again, Kevin, congratulations. And that was Liam, correct, Nick? I believe.
Yep, that is correct.
Liam coming in second from Brown. Well played, Liam. You know, sometimes the cards don't fall in your favor in those all-ins. And sometimes your opponent spikes the 2 pair on the river. Unfortunate.
Yeah, and Cambridge looking to be the favorite now after being predicted to be last. So we'll
absolutely, we're at 7.9. I told you don't count them out. Remember that? I knew Cambridge has got some real players. They've got some fighters. Michael here turning the best hand with a pair. Donnie, ace high. Now on a paired board, ace high, you know, heads up, it's going to be good some of the time. So let's see if it just goes check, check, or check call. I think Michael would probably want a value bet here if it gets checked to him. But he does just decide to check and takes it down with his 9s and 3s.
Yeah, Michael decided to play it safe here. Pocket 2s from Donnie, 9-10 off from Michael. Both pretty strong hands, heads up.
Michael's sitting at right around 20 big blinds, it looks like. So not quite in shove fold range, but he's getting there. Donnie putting in the raise. Michael makes the call. This is a board that's going to favor Donnie. He's got more aces. He's got more pocket kings, pocket queens. And he's going to have the best hand the majority of the time here with his pair of ducks. So let's see if he wants to use some protection and fold out all of that over junk, which is what Michael does happen to have here.
Yeah, and it's not actually too bad of a flop for Donnie. It is 3 overcards, but with it being such an unlikely card like the 3, that's not really, you're not too concerned about it at that point.
Absolutely. You're more on a board like that concerned about a higher pocket pair or something like a flush draw that would get there, because then the flush draws would also have overs that they could hit. Michael here, strong hand, heads up. Donnie, also strong hand, heads up. Jack 9 of clubs versus ace deuce offsuit. Both players have a pair. Donnie with a pair of ducks. Michael with a pair of jacks. Certainly going to see a little bit of money get in here, but Michael probably won't be able to get his entire stack in, but we'll see. I mean, a diamond will be something if
yeah, Michael here with a pretty small bet on the flop. I could see that being the right price for Donnie to just continue at least one street here, especially with the equity that he has in a backdoor flush draw.
Now let's see if Michael's going to employ some pot control here and check, or keep betting for worse pairs and flush draws. Check, check on the turn. I don't see Donnie going for value. He might take a check call or a check fold if I had to guess. Theoretically, he could turn his deuce into a bluff.
Yeah, I think in that case, it would be a little too optimistic. It looks like a misdraw at that point, so I wouldn't expect him to do that. You can definitely do it in a deeper of a game, but I think with Michael having such a short stack, he's probably going to play a little more straightforward than you would otherwise.
Yeah. Donnie does make the discipline lay down. Well done. Switching back over, heads up here, William top pair, weak kicker. Andrew, just some backdoor action. But fear not, spikes the king on the turn and checks it back. Now Andrew's definitely going to get some river value. Let's see if he puts it a small raise versus very small bet. He does. William snaps it off. Wow, Andrew, I think he got paid off almost to the maximum there by checking back that turn and getting a river raise in. I'm not sure, though. A very interesting hand there.
Yeah, well played by Andrew there. And Andrew just continuing to maintain his chip lead here. We have King Jack from William here, declaring he's all in before the cards are dealt. Luckily, he was given King Jack, and it doesn't matter. Andrew just folds anyway. Andrew picking up the Ace 10 offsuit. And yeah, kind of as expected, we're going to see both players just shoving and folding for a little while here. And it looks like this is going to be a dangerous hand for William. Yeah, Andrew snapping off his all in. Let's see if, oh, we do hit a ace on the flop for William. That's unlucky for Andrew. And William with a double up. These stacks are going to be a lot more even now, and it's going to be a lot more interesting of a game. I wouldn't expect both players to just throw all their chips in anymore. We'll see some more post-flop action, hopefully.
Absolutely here. Both players hold a 9, but William puts in the fold. Skill gap, William saying in the chat. Superman versus William. Prince William versus Superman. Is there a Prince Andrew? Is that one? I don't really care about any of that royal stuff. Sorry, Cambridge guys, but it's all a bunch of hooey to me.
I'm sure there is a Prince Andrew.
How could I become a prince? How do you do you know anything about that? I guess you have to be born.
Unfortunately, I do not. I don't think that you can become a prince. Sorry.
I can't. Okay, I could marry into it. I could if Markle and Harry get divorced. Although then Meghan wouldn't be. I don't know. I'm talking out of my butt here.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to have an interview with the winning team after this. So if Cambridge ends up pulling this out, we can ask them on how the logistics of becoming a prince works.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. We can quiz them on that. I'm sure that's what the people at home want to hear. Now, I thought you were going to say we have an interview with Meghan Markle. That would be interesting. She's tough to book, though. We tried. Her publicist did not respond to comment, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a real shame. That'd have been a great addition. I don't know if you know this, but she actually has 3 World Series bracelets. She
does. Wow. In No Limit, what do you know what the games were?
Absolutely not. I was hoping you could fill that one in for us.
No, I think, is it Raz? I think she had 1 in Raz, 2 in Deuce to 7, or no, 1 in Raz, 1 in Deuce to 7. And I think the last one was 5-card PL.
5, yeah, I think that sounds right, actually, which is a new game they just introduced at the World Series. Well, not a new game, of course, but a new bracelet event this year for the World Series. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. Congratulations to her. Back to the action here. Andrew, A7 on the button. William, 7-10 in Domination Nation. Andrew's going to limp here, so both players are probably going to see this flop. Ooh, 8-8-8. Andrew is certainly feeling great about his hand. William calls with the backdoor draws and 2 overs. Check. I expect Andrew to just want to get to showdown here, only really losing to pocket pairs. Ace-high is going to be very strong here, but William bluffs. Andrew snap calls, takes it down. Unfortunate for William.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting hand to play out there. I'm confused about the min bet on the river. That's a little too low to get anything folding out. Andrew here with the ace queen off, gonna raise it up. Jack 10. Oh, we're gonna see another interesting hand here.
All in here, both players. Andrew's got the best of it right now, but William certainly live. Wow.
Trip running 10, good when it matters, for sure.
Real help. Queen.
No
dice. William takes it down. Now we're down basically to even stacks here. Superman has met his kryptonite, and it comes in the form of 3 10s.
Yeah, and Andrew here picking up 10s himself and just takes the blinds away. Now these stack sizes are pretty interesting. Both players have about 30 to 40 big blinds, I could definitely see them opening it up more to a non-shove fold game. Should make things a little more interesting for everybody, I think.
Certainly here, both players have a comfortable amount of big blinds. And both players have a king here, but Williams got him dominated. Oh, flush draw versus top pair. We're going to see some money get in here, Nick.
Yes, we are. This is a pretty interesting flop here with William, just the flat call. I'm not too sure about the flat there. I think it's a little risky with such a wet board. There's a lot of flush draws, a lot of straight draws. I would like to see just a little bit of a raise there.
Absolutely. Heads up, you're going to want to be raising a lot of your top pairs because ranges are just going to be wider. And yeah, as you said, on a wet board like that, I think a raise is in order here. Both players here do have a fairly strong hand. William ace high, Andrew queen jack. Check, check. William does spike the ace on the turn. Andrew's not going to like that here. Let's see if he takes a stab at it. He does. Don't see William going anywhere. Makes the call. Let's see if Andrew is again going to take a stab on this river and try to bluff William off his hand. He does. William snap calls, takes it down, ace high. Now William's got a decent chiplet here, almost double the stack here of Andrew, it looks like.
Yeah, William running very, very good here. And we switch over to another table here. We have Eli versus Matt W. Pretty uneven chips at this point. So this one might be ending pretty soon.
Eli Shea representing Brown, Matt W representing all the way over in New Haven, Connecticut, representing the School of Yale. Battle of the Ivies. Let's see what happens. Matt here is basically in the shove fold range here, most certainly. 250 sitting on 4 or 5, a little bit over 5 big blinds. So he's going to have to jam it in here with honestly any king, any queen. Let's see if Matt can pull the trigger here. He does. Eli's not going anywhere with his ace high. Matt's behind, but he's certainly got out. So let's see if he can spike any of them. Not the best flop here for Matt, except for that flush draw. Queen, spade, or a queen ends it.
We do
hit the spade. Matt doubles up with the flush against Eli.
Looks like Eli not too happy about that.
Not too happy. Sorry, Eli, but 36% is does happen sometimes. And Eli puts in the jam with Jack 9. Could be a little bit of a tilt jam, although Matt is sitting under 10 big blinds. Matt does jam. Eli lets it go. Matt's going to love taking down these pots pre-flop, especially with his kind of queen highs that are never really going to be ahead by too much. And we do see some action here. Matt, again, a little bit above 10 big blinds. Probably would have liked to get it in with that a7. Let's see if he's going to jam here with the king 4. Eli probably has a
tight fold, I think, here.
I think so too. Now Matt, Eli jams with the jack 4. Matt's never letting it go. Eli's dominated, needs a jack or some spades, has not come yet. Needs a jack, drawing to a jack and a jack only. Matt hits his ace, doubles up again through Eli. This is a great comeback we're seeing here. Let's see if Matt can keep it up and keep winning his all-ins. Now we just have about a 2-to-1 size chip stack lead here. Eli again dominated 10-4 versus queen 4, but he does let it go, not getting himself into too much trouble here.
Clubs. Let's see if we actually see a flop this time. No, we do not.
Matt here, king 5 offsuit. Eli 10, 9 in the big blind. I expect both players to see some flops here. Looks like we got some code coming up. Don't know if you folks at home can see that, but I can. Looks great. Something I could never do. Ooh, interesting flop here. Ooh, this is interesting. So we got 2 pair on a 4-liner. These spots are tough with your two pair because obviously a queen or a 7 makes Matt a straight. But again, two pairs quite strong here. So let's see if he goes for value or just tries to take a showdown. Does go for a little bit of value and gets the fold from Matt.
Looks like Donnie has beaten Michael at table 5, which secures a win for Brown at that table.
Congratulations to the good folks at Brown.
Seeing a bet here from Matt with his ace high, trying to just take it down from Eli. I don't see Eli having any reason to continue here, but we will see if he decides he wants to play a little poker.
He does fold his queen high. Matt takes it down with his ace high. Ooh, Eli's got a nice hand here, especially heads up. Ace jack of hearts, but he's not going to get any action. Okay. Big slick suited ace king of diamonds versus Eli's 6-10 of hearts. We are going to go to a flop, and Eli does pick up a pair here. Matt's got 2 overs and a gut shot. Check, check.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good board for Matt. Pretty good board for Eli. I can see both players putting some money in here.
Certainly here. Eli going to continue with the pressure. Let's see if Matt is going to pay him off.
I think that is a mystery to both of us.
Eli here, king 3. Matt, queen 5. Going to a flop. Eli's going to take it down. Queen 6 versus, ooh, Matt's got a little suited connected here, 7.
Good, and we have an open under for Matt on the flop. Eli still with the best hand with high card. Matt here taking it down with his aggression. We got a queen 10 from Matt from the small blind. Let's see what he ends up doing with it. Goes for the min raise and he'll just take it down.
Jack 8 here for Matt. Gonna fold to Eli's raise on the button. King 10 here, solid hand for Matt. I don't think he's gonna be going anywhere.
Like we have a king 6 out of Eli. He might end up defending here. Let's see. And he does choose to defend. Not too much single flop for either of the players, but let's see who ends up showing the most aggression. They'll probably end up taking it down.
Absolutely. Sometimes that's what it comes down to in poker. Whoever wants the pot more is going to take it down.
This is especially true of heads up. And it looks like we are at the final table here. Every other team has finished up. We still have this hand here with the king 6 of Eli with the king 10 of Matt. Let's see what happens.
Lots of kings today, both in the cards and in the players. Shout out to all my kings out there.
Looks like we have our team of math magicians running the numbers right now to see which team is going to end up taking it down based on the standings so far.
Great suspense. Who will it be? Who is going to take down that top prize, which is just north?
Looks like Matt has disconnected here, which is pretty unfortunate.
Very unfortunate.
Like this year.
Hopefully Matt can figure that out.
And yeah, it looks like Matt is still offline.
We're going to give Matt a little bit of time here to get back online. Hopefully you can sort that out. This process isn't perfect, so we ask for your patience while we're getting him back here.
Yeah, it looks like we might be going into a pause here in a second. And Eli with the min raise on the button to the offline Matt.
Eli, cowboy. He's a happy cowboy now that his opponent isn't playing.
And it looks like we have Brown as the overall winner here, but this game actually does matter for second and third place standing. So this will be really interesting to see how it plays out once Matt gets back online.
Congratulations to Brown winning that first place prize of $6,250. Second place prize is going to be $3,375. So that's what those players are fighting over, that $3,375. Or excuse me, actually. That's what they're fighting over. $3,375. Third place, $1,625. Fourth, $1,250.
And do we have any word on the fourth place team right now? Have we figured that out?
I'm not sure. I think it's still up for grabs. Is that correct, Nick? Do you know the answer to that?
Let me see. I think that's actually, unfortunately, going to be MIT with the bad. Yeah, just checking in with our stats team. It is going to end up being MIT here, unfortunately. But still, that's a really great showing from MIT overall. 13 teams total in the league, some of the best universities in the world, some of the best college poker players in the world. And for MIT to come this far, that's pretty impressive.
And the setting of a great movie. We all know what I'm talking about. It's Not Your Fault, Nick. Good Will Hunting, obviously. How you like that?
Absolutely, as you do.
Rest in peace, Rob Williams.
We're getting back to the action here on a little happier note. We have Eli with King 5 offsuit.
Matt here. Let's see if he's going to make the call just shy of 10 big blinds, looking like 8 big blinds he's got there. Sorry, I logged out, Matt says. That's okay. No worries from Eli. Good sportsmanship all across the board. Matt here. Let's see if he's going to jam it in here. Oh, no, excuse me, Matt. Now is down to 6 big blinds, it looks like. Matt says, still got some blinds. Let's get it. That's the attitude. And we have Matt W. here, who is, just a reminder, representing Yale, Matthew Wang. And then we have Eli, who is representing Eli Shea, representing Brown. Again, the clash of the Ivies. Brown, which is a color, versus Yale. I don't think Yale really means anything. I don't know. It's kind of like whale, maybe, but with a Y. I don't know. Eli's got a good hand. I don't see Matt making the call, though, here, although he is quite short stacked, but 9 deuce probably just isn't getting it done. Doesn't make the full, but Matt's really going to have to jam him in here in a second. And this is certainly a hand to do it with. Sitting at 5 big blinds, just about. And I think Eli is going to have to make this call here with the King 5 suited. Unfortunately for him, he is going to be dominated. And he does. Eli's going to be looking for some clubs 0-5.
Oh, and he does hit the 5. And
Diamond? Bricks. Eli takes it down. GG's. Congratulations to Matt coming in second place, representing the great school of Yale over there in New Haven with the skulls and the bones and all those secret societies that probably run the world. Not sure. So we do, that wraps it up. That was our final table. So we do have the placings here, which we'll get to in a second. hopefully we're going to be able to do a little post-game interview with Brown, who is your 2020/2021 IPA champion, taking down a prize pool of $6,250. Not bad. That's a real chunk of change. Shout out again to our fantastic sponsors, SIG and Citadel, both great folks over there. It's not possible with them. Again, shout out to Poker Now, the platform that we play on. Fantastic work they're doing. Also, shout out to you, the viewer, for tuning in today. Very awesome, but stick around for this post-game interview. We're hopefully gonna put together and I'll be able to test my journalism cracks. And again, shout out to Alex Wu, president of the IPA. None of this is possible without Mr. Alex Wu. And we're going to get you those final standings here in a second. And again, stay tuned for that hopeful post-game interview we have with the good, great folks over at Brown.
It's unfortunate for us and the rest of the viewers that Cambridge didn't end up winning, so we will never know if you'll be able to become a prince, but maybe the big brains at Brown can kind of help put us in that direction.
Very big league brains over there. Let's see what happens. Now, it is possible that second and third could be tied here if my math is correct, which it usually isn't, but it could be in this time. It's basically playing darts blind, but that would be interesting. And I assume there will probably be a tiebreaker, so you guys might actually get some more action at another time. That could happen here today, but I think that would probably be at another time. You know, I think just reflecting back on the year, I mean, the IPA truly is doing great work. I mean, you see, poker is a game that's played by a lot of people, and I think poker does have a bad rap to a certain extent. People think it's all gambling. They think it's maybe like roulette, but you know, it is almost a sport, almost an intellectual sport, kind of in the same vein of chess. It's a skill game. At the end of the day, if you put in enough hands, the best players will win. So I think the IPA is doing great work bringing poker to college students all across the country. Some of the top minds in our nation and in our world are playing poker, and they're going on to these great firms like SIG and Citadel. So the IPA is really doing the world a service by showcasing these players, showcasing some great poker entertainment, and hey, maybe giving them some cash too while they're at it. So again, thank you to the IPA. Without a doubt, the best college poker entity in the world, the only college poker entity in the world. So again, shout out to them. And again, thank you to the viewers for tuning in. Hopefully we're going to be able to get that Brown post-game interview soon, because I want to talk to those folks, kind folks over there at Brown. Now, I don't know where Brown is located in this country. I think it's probably somewhere in New York, if I'm right. I think, right? No,
it's Rhode Island, actually.
Rhode Island. I assume the university is like the whole state. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it is.
I'm no geographer or anything, but you know, they say that's a pretty small state. I've never been there, so I don't even know if it exists really, right? I mean, it could just be a falsehood on a map, but I'll take their word for it.
Just like Australia.
Just like Australia, true. Probably not real.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We got some folks in the Zoom chat. I'm going to do a quick introduction here of your 2021 champions, the Brown poker team. I'll toss on my camera here. Oh, and now I can't see the screen. Give me 1 second here, folks. I do apologize. My monitor's kind of messed up. All right, now it's still off. Hold the fort. Give me a second here, folks. All right, here we are. So your Brown 2021 Poker IPA champions. We have Liam, Skinner, Eli, Shay. I think it's Shay. Shay or she? Give me a thumbs up. Shay, I'll take it. Love it. We got Donnie Sayuni. Hope I'm getting that right. And we got Ronnie Strode. Gentlemen, congratulations. How do you feel right now?
Feel amazing. Best feeling I've ever had in my life.
Best feeling you've ever had in your life. That's a quote, folks. Hopefully it'll stay that way. When you get married, that'll pale in comparison. So you guys took down, let me get the exact number, $6,250. And that's a pretty good chunk of change. You know, that's going to be more than $1,000 each. Do you guys feel all the work has kind of paid off and now you're like,
I think so. Yeah. Someone else can chime in if they want to, but I think, you know, we've been learning these sort of fundamentals of poker. So a lot of us started as freshmen in the poker club. We're all seniors now. We owe a lot to old Julius Reiner, who taught us some of the important tournament fundamentals, and also the great people at SIG running the free roll at Brown, helping us get some practice in.
Great, folks. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, Julius, shout out to him too, for kind of getting, the whole poker scene almost started, I guess, possibly at Brown. I mean, I don't know. But again, congratulations to you guys. I mean, you guys have any plans for the money? You going to invest it in Doge or anything, or put it in the bank?
I'm going to put it on roulette on black. And
love it.
On the ride.
Nice. And so, as a team, do you guys have a captain, or do you all just kind of chill together? What's your team structure like?
Eli's our president.
I've been the poker club president, so I've been doing a little bit of the organization, but these guys are so good. They basically organize themselves.
Awesome.
Liam's been our killer this year. He's been slanging every table he plays. Couldn't do it today though, but that's okay.
Second is pretty good, Eli. We already discussed how to divide the prize money. We've decided to split it up based on who got the most, average points over the season. So
I don't know.
I'm pretty happy about this result.
I don't know if there's a consensus on that.
Easy to say after where you're placed. So you guys came in with 20%. You guys were kind of the third ranked team based on that. How does it feel to kind of disregard all of that and defy the odds?
We use those odds as our bulletin board material. I saw them posted. I said, look at how they're disrespecting us. I put it up on the bulletin board in our locker room. I said, I don't know who came up with these odds. I disagree with them. We felt disrespected. We got second in the regular season. I thought we were one of the most consistently great teams. I thought we were underrated, but I was happy to see that I knew, put all the money on Brown. I knew we were going to make it. Was never in doubt.
Yeah, we weren't too happy with those odds. I think any of us would have taken a pretty large bet on Brown at those odds. I'm not sure how they come up with 20%.
Yeah, I don't know how the doctor made those, but you guys did it. You defied the expectations, so congratulations. And so were any of you gentlemen in the IPA last year as well, or is this all first year for you folks?
We were all in last year. We made it to the finals. Unfortunately, lost to BU, that great team. But I really like the format change this year. I like the 6 max sit and go structure. Yeah. We much prefer it to the heads up.
Awesome. Yeah. Glad
I think the biggest change though was we had great announcers this year, and last year we just didn't have that, and it really made the tournament this year, in my opinion. But
thank you very much. I'm doing my best. This interview is first time doing this, so this is interesting. But I think this will be some good entertainment for the folks at home. I didn't do my hair or anything, so it looks a little.
You have the voice for it.
Last year, the final stream was just me talking by myself for like 5 hours.
Oh, dude, is it really? Oh my God. Because I'm just thinking of the tangents I went on this year. So if I was alone, oh my God, I'd be like, I'd be talking about like the Syrian refugee crisis or something, and then I don't know.
You guys must have done a good job though, because I was checking the stream during the match and it looked like 40 bumping up against 50 viewers.
Thank you. Yeah, we almost get as much as the top poker streamers. No, not really. Maybe next year though. I mean, we're looking to, grow it. We're gonna look at avenues to do that. But Alex, Nick, they're there on the chat. I mean, do you guys have any questions, or should we wrap up the stream today?
I feel good. Shout out to Alex. Great commissioner, helping us organize, getting the date set and everything. We love it. Shout out to all the other teams, MIT, Yale, Cambridge. And shout out to the odds makers. They said we couldn't do it, but we did it, baby.
Yeah, well, hopefully his address isn't anywhere public. No, we're kidding.
Hey, we're getting news that there's a tiebreaker. Is that true?
Oh, yeah. Wait, do we have we might have an update on that.
Oh, yeah, cut away from us. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that between second and third, or it's not us, is it?
No, no.
If it's us, I'm going to be upset.
No.
Yeah, actually, you guys did
it.
not win, unfortunately. So
He's kidding. It would be between Yale and Cambridge. Now, would that be for
second,
or
right? MIT
for
got
second and third. Yep.
that.
So second and third are tied. I guess we're going to do a tiebreaker for that, but you guys don't have to worry about that.
I want to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I assume we're going to stream it. I'll probably be back on the mic, hopefully with Nick. Nick and Nick, great team. But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get that live streamed. Alex, do we have anything else, or should we do last shout outs and wrap up today, Alex? Sounds good. All right. Well, again, thank you to the sponsors, SIG, Citadel. Thank you to Poker Now. Thank you to Alex Wu. Thank you to the viewers for tuning in today. Congratulations, Brown, your 2020-2021 Poker IPA champions, taking down north of 6,000. But thank you to all the teams for participating this year. God bless you guys. And hopefully we'll be able to get that tiebreaker live stream. But have a great rest of your guys' year. Again, thank you. And thanks for tuning in today, folks. We'll see you next time. Signing off.